Okay, so I'll just jump into this one a little bit quicker. It's pretty late here. It's about 10 past 12, so enough time to have a look at the charts and that sort of prior to the week. But hasn't really been a lot of market moving news over the weekend, and it sort of seems like it would really sort of change much of a direction. But certainly NFP was interesting. So this is DXY. We're on the 30-minute here. Chuck it onto the 1 hour at least. We got this sort of breakdown earlier, and so obviously this is going back onto the Thursday. Nice technical break of this sort of wedge setup that we sort of identified sort of coming through here. That was the potential channel that we thought it could have come to, but wedge seemed to sort of prevail, and obviously we had the break, came down here, retest, bang, down to the bottom side. Um, Slowly sort of grinded its way up sort of through Friday coming into NFP, and as it sort of covered sort of as NFP was dropping, it really exploded out. So the numbers were a fairly large sort of miss to the top side, so above expectations, and obviously the market liked that for sort of USD strength. In the short term, at least, but just as quickly as it was bought up, it was sold into quite hard. And although it has sort of here sort of closed out the week relatively strong. I mean, if you look at this on a daily, certainly sort of pushing back up to look for some sort of continuation over here, but still unable to get that actual breakout. So again, if we want to sort of see this potential head and shoulders pattern play out, you need to get the close above 104.20. Even above that, you've still got all these wick rejections here, 104.50. So I think it's very like, I mean, he's obviously making a fairly decent sustained effort here compared to these ones here. Or this was a little bit of a 4 or 5 day sort of push up here. This has sort of made a little bit of an effort through here, but till you can get these closes, realistically, I would say actually probably above like in this sort of scenario setup, the neckline is 104.20, but it's not like that's the only play in the game at the moment. And really, you've got these wicks underneath here, so you need to get the close above 104.50 really to sort of say, okay, yes, this is actually playing out, and then we can start looking and dragging these ones across and looking for some other targets a little bit higher. Obviously, that measure move coming right up into the bottom of that top end range that we had just before the sort of major breakdowns a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, so it's something to watch here. Is still overbought, so this could just be potentially, if you look at it like this, it might show it a little bit better on a 4 hour here. This could also just be a backtest of the underside of the rising support that we did have before. So, I would certainly say that, it's still in an area of indecision. We've got a lot of big news coming out this week as well. We've got US CPI, we've got FOMC. These are going to be the big ones that are, well, FOMC is really going to be the big one, the clincher to sort of say which direction we go. And I think whatever that decision is, sort of coming into the end of the year, if we have a bit of a sort of more of a sort of dovish hold kind of sort of outlook for it all, then I think that's going to be seeing us sort of come back down and really maintain this overall sort of range with US dollar. And of course, the flip is obviously if they do have either a bit more of a hawkish sort of talk about it, or you know what I mean, I don't think they're about to raise again, so I think it's pretty much sort of guaranteed that they're going to hold. It's just about how the talk goes with it all. So yeah, they're the ones to watch out for this week. As of sort of, what's going to happen on Monday, we've actually literally got nothing on the calendar all of Monday for sort of, every session, Asia, sort of Europe, and also US session. First bit of news, sort of like a high level, is Bullock speaking on Tuesday morning, 9:20, and then yeah, well, Tuesday night, technically Wednesday morning, 12:30, is when you got US CPI. So again, it may sort of be just a little bit of sort of back and forth, I think, till we get that CPI figure out. But certainly from sort of technical standpoint, it tried to push up here. It's had three efforts to try and break up above here, each time sold into. I wouldn't be surprised if we sort of see at least a sort of fill of this wick to the downside here, 103.70. And of course, if we do get the breaks above 104.30, then that would be okay. We're looking for these higher levels up at the top here at sort of 104, 104.50. But yeah, so nothing really major to take away from this, although it is grinding. you got to respect the fact that it did break this rising support, and this very much could just be a back test of the underside of this one. So up over here, which obviously is pretty much smack bang on the same level as we have with the horizontals there as well. So there's a bit of a confluence coming in, and as you can see, market smacked it straight back down over here. I'll flip across to gold quickly because gold took a beating off NFP as well. So I really thought we were we were due for a little bit of a break up to towards the top side here. So I took a couple of clippings just sort of like as it sort of broke down through this area. But again, look, I'm still in this belief that we do have a little bit more of a higher push to come. But you've got to respect again that this was where we drop off here. I mean, from that news, more or less, another $34, tipping down underneath 2,000 actually. So, I mean, this has been such a massive drop off from the top up here. Like, God, I would hate to be holding from this wick area if you were long. There's no risk management in that, unless you sort of got small positions or you really do believe that it's going to sort of 2,300 in the short term. It's just, definitely the trade has been, selling it continually through this area here. Obviously, we had this area of chop, but no, nothing really looking too sort of promising for the bulls as of the moment. It was a nice little bounce into the close, but this is an area that we've seen play its role in the past. And first things first, you want to be getting back up above this 2009, 2010 area. So then we could sort of go, okay, maybe we could sort of come back and use this as a support for how it has been previously. And we could sort of look for potentially, let's go on, something back up into this area, back down for support, and then a bit more of a move back up over here. Again, FOMC, CPI, these are going to be the ones that are going to move the market this week. So I still think gold is longs. I'm looking to add on dips, but you still need to be a little bit wary about how strong these selling moves are, because this could very easily just pull up into another sort of like almost bear flag, and we could be seeing another push down to 1980s. I think if you're getting much down under 2000, you're going to get quite a few people get sort of a little bit worried, and we're going to start to see sort of people start to bail out. But like we saw with this move up the top over here, was that short, sharp, fast, and hit all the stops. That's when it'll be done. Like, it most likely won't come up in a straight V shape. You'll have a sort of push with a long wick where they've taken out all the stops, and then you'll see it move back up with a sharp rejection like we did, sort of coming from the downside at the top up here. Early trade above this 38, I think would be a decent level for a short-term confirmation. So we can see, obviously, here, there's a little bit of thinking about contemplation on the way down as it came through this area, and then obviously sort of gave way again. We did have a bit of data out at the end of last week, which is what was it? Just bear with us 1 second. So I think it was the Michigan consumer confidence or something along those lines, and that was a fairly solid miss to the downside. So although like you're getting a bit of mixed mess, like you had the sort of NFP numbers beating expectations, so that's fine. People are employing, but if the consumer confidence is down, it's a bit of a mixed message thing, and and I don't know enough about the sort of jobs market over there as to sort of what qualifies them. Like, is that just a full-time employment? Is this people taking second jobs? Like, are you getting a higher employment number, but it's just like sort of jobs filled, but one person, or obviously not one, but like multiple people having multiple jobs? Is that giving you a higher number with the NFP? I'd have to have a little bit more of a look into that as to sort of what it is, how they actually sort of qualify them. But anyways, back to the here and now. Above 2009, we're at 2004 at the moment. Above 2009 means you've sort of done with this little area here. Then you can start to look for 2014, 2019. Really, if you can get back above 2020, then you're going to see a completion of this whole sort of move down, which gives you another sort of $10 move up to 230, I would say. But again, you got to respect these hard, fast moves. you know, it's nice to buy the dip, and I sort of bought the dip and came back up, and I just took it for a scalp because it came back down again, and obviously really just even went down even lower, breaking down under that 2000. So yeah, I think it's certainly one to watch through Monday. 2000, above 2009, I'll start to look for any sort of like little pullbacks and buy the dips after that. Probably if we can get past 2009, pull back down to sort of low 2000s, and then I'll look to add to the positions. And then obviously once we break that sort of candle, that'll be the confirmation, and then we can start to look for these higher targets. Quickly cross onto Aussie. Aussie still, it just failed by like a point or so here, not even half a point, to sort of really take out that previous wick and sort of get that continuation. It was certainly trying for it, but obviously just couldn't quite doing it. It's not dead yet. It did have quite a sort of reasonable bounce back up, but you know, again, it's really starting to show a little bit more of a sort of a bit of a rolling over action. So again, I've always sort of said with the Aussie, we're just at the mercy of whatever they want to do with the US dollar. If they decide to sort of, as I said, go with a bit more of a sort of dovish tone, that's going to obviously sort of flow across to the USD crosses, and we're going to see a little bit more appreciation in Aussie price. I am still looking for buys and sort of a longer outlook on this. But you know, if the shorts do come up, and particularly if we get under 65.20, I think that could definitely present at least some short-term short positions, and we could be coming across maybe this 65.50. Looks like it could be potentially be a bit of a zone underneath there. So I wouldn't be surprised here if we take out those lows at 65.23. You've got about a 50-60 point move to the downside potential there. So something along these lines here. Down, up here, retest, and then bang, down over here. But again, if we get down to these levels, I'm going to be looking for buys to sort of continue the move up. I don't think we're about to see a move all the way back down to the bottom here. We'll just have to sort of see how that sort of plays out. In early trade, I'd like to see it back up again above 65.90. It's just those 90 areas is really sort of what's hurting it. It made a good effort to get back up above here. So that shows that, you know, given the right conditions, the buyers are there. But of course, you know, then you have these bits of news that come out, change the landscape, and you do see these things sort of fly back and forth a little bit. If we get onto a higher sort of time frame of the daily, it's very much, I mean, this is, you know, obviously lower low now. We've got this lower high. This could pretty much be sort of coming in like this. So again, yes, as I said, if you break this sort of low here, this sort of 65.20 zone, definitely I think sort of 64.60, 64.70s, I think they could be a decent area to be looking for some buys. If we do happen to sort of get some sort of rally up here, because we are coming down into the oversold area, if we do get a push up above here, again, 66.20, that's our breakout point. If we get above 65.20, then we can start looking back up towards 66.70 for the next sort of leg up. Copper, quickly, copper still sort of keeps fighting on. This little bit down here just really did look like some, you know, profit taking and a little sharp drop down to sort of like stop out a lot of people. But this is what I've been saying a lot of the time with these candles that are closing right on the lows. This looks like, oh, well, bang, right on the lows. And it's just a complete reversal, straight back up the other way. So you can't always judge these things the same as you would in sort of shares. For instance, they close on the highs. Well, generally you're going to see continuation of this, but this is just a complete engulfing in the opposite direction. So it's certainly sort of sprung back into life there a little bit. I think sort of in the short term, again, you want to get above this sort of 385. So I'll just check a little alert on that one there. Back into the top range, and then if we can sort of get a close back up around these levels, then we're looking at a retest of the highs for that potential continuation. But this does sort of seem to be the price action that it's showing at the moment, because we were coming through here fine, closed down here, looked like it was 4 days of selling down, closed on the lows, bangs right back into it. And now you're just seeing the same sort of thing, close down here, bang, back up into it. So I would certainly wouldn't say copper's dead yet, and this is what makes me think that sort of Aussie is still worth a buy, as long as we're still seeing copper move in these areas to sort of try and sort of like basically snap out anybody that's tried to sort of short it from these top levels. But in the here and now, I think there's a good chance that we replicate this kind of price action over here, which is through this sort of area here. And I think this will be our sort of breakout area, breakout box or consolidation box. I would say that sort of this is your range. You've swung out the top side here. This move outside the top is almost equal to the move out the bottom side, and now we're back up into the range. So a bit of choppiness through here, but a close up the top here or a close down the bottom here, they'll be the indicators, I think, that'll sort of say whether, yeah, this is just a last ditch effort up before we continue further on the downside. So this on a daily now can sort of come across like this. Get rid of this one. And finally, just a quick look at China. China's the only one that I'm actually seeing sort of doing something in terms of breaking out. Everything else seemed to be sold back into its little ranges. So we had that breakdown off the lower time frame through this little rising support here with the negative divergence. But as you can see, it had 3 attempts to break down and just could not get down under this zone. Right there on the alert sort of line before, obviously reversing up quite strongly. So, I could see this potentially sort of coming back down for another little retest. We did have this immediate retest here, but what you tend to find with these breaks is you'll get this first retest straight into it. People are buying it. You'd look for then the same sort of price action, but on a higher sort of time frame. So that was on 1 hour. You had your little break, 1 hour back test, on you go. Didn't really sort of do much after that though. And then you look for the next time frame. So time frame 4 hour, bang, there's the break. No back test here yet though. So I wouldn't be surprised if you do get a little bit of a push back down towards this zone. If it can hold here, then it looks for the move up here, and we go through this top candle here for our confirmation. If I can get this one. No, those don't seem to be working. Excuse me. Anyway, back through that high there. So I could see a little bit of a push back down here for a retest. And as I said, if you can base here and then push back on, take out these highs, that's the confirmation of this move. If it does sort of come back down here and does an engulfing, well, then I would say this is going to really be a big sort of drop off down to the bottom side here. US dollar was obviously getting a bit of a buy on DXY. So, if we see that sort of continue to sort of get bought up, you would probably say that it's going to be bought up against the other crosses as well. This is what's going to drive Aussie down, and this is what's going to keep pushing so this China cross a little bit more to the top side. If you do get a break above here, we do have this other sort of well-known zone of 720, which I think will sort of offer a little bit more resistance. But I think first things first, I think we'll get a little bit of a push down early, and then I think it'll at least a rally effort. It may only come to this level here, and then that'll give you a lower high and then a fail down to the bottom side here. But at the moment, it's certainly looking like backtest, retest, sort of backtest. See if you can find a base and then push up, take out those highs for the continuation. That's about it from me.